Today I'm going to teach you how to take a regular cosmetic pouch and turn it into this amazing bag. Stay tuned. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. This is Dana of Days Crochet, and I'm going to teach you how I made this bag. And what I mean is the concept, really. Because once you get the concept, you can really take this in 100 different ways. So basically, this is the inside. This is how it looks. This is a small bag, this particular one. If you're a part of my crochet group on Facebook, Crochet for Days, I'll link it in the link below, you will have gotten this pattern for free. And if you would like to receive this pattern for free for the bag, go to my Facebook group and then go to the announcements in the files once you've been accepted. This is actually my very popular pattern called the puff stitch bag. Believe it or not, this is the same bag as this. And this is the same bag as this. And I'll show you how it works. I'm going to set this to the side. I've made another one of these, only this one is much bigger. So basically, this is the bag here. Now, if you are following my written pattern, or for those of you who are in the group and you've made some, you'll notice that there are no finishing rounds. There is no brim rounds. The reason that I did that is because for this bag to work, you lay it flat, you turn it up, and then you let it fold in the opposite direction of what it naturally would. And that is how I got this bag to look this way. For this particular bag, I'm going to line it with this material. Now, not this particular piece, but with this material, because I think it looks good. The reason that I'm lining this bag, whereas I didn't line the last bag, is because of all these ends from me changing color. I'm lazy, so I just knotted off the ends together. I tied them in a knot and cut them short. And I'm going to add all the embellishments first, because I want them hidden on the inside of the bag, and then I'm going to line the bag at the end. So this bag was done with the J hook. I did a foundation chain of 31 so that I would have 30 puffs, and I did 9 rounds. So the reason that I stopped at 9, I tried 10 to try to get my bag just a little bit bigger. It didn't work. You have to stop at round 9 for this bag to fold upon itself equally like that. If you want a bigger bag than this, you will have to make it bigger this way. And the reason that I only did 9 inches is because I have a 9-inch zipper. So if you want to get a bigger bag, then you can find a bigger zipper. And then you would go this way until it wasn't able to lay upon itself like that. So it's just a really simple concept. It's kind of fun and funky, but I'll show you some other things that I plan to use. Now, this bag itself was made from my all-time favorite bag yarn, which is Bernat Home Maker Dec by Yarnspirations. They're currently out of stock out of a lot of colors, but I was told that they were getting more. They just haven't got it in yet. At Walmart, I found this huge container of wooden bead assortment, and there are a lot of beads in here. I use them to death. This is actually my second bucket. So I've used a lot of these beads in a lot of my different bags because I love them. I also bought this from Michael's. As you can see, I haven't really used it yet, and part of it is because the holes are so small. I like to use leather and different materials and put it down inside, and it's just a real big challenge to get them inside, so I'll probably save this for another project. And then in Hobby Lobby, you can find these on the wall. They're in the beaded section near the stranded beads, but by them, like off to the side, they're in bags by themselves, and they have huge holes. I love these beads. I use them for everything. And then honestly, I think I got this from Hobby Lobby as well. You can find wooden beads on the strand that are super, super cool. I mean, that just is awesome. They have all kinds of beads that I've gotten, and this is just one of the ones that I grabbed to show you. I will also most likely be using this. This is what I found in Walmart. It's monofilament illusion cord, and I use it quite often for everything, especially my bags. And then I also will use this. It is clear nylon thread that you can find in most craft stores in the needles and threads. I got this at Walmart in the thread section at the very bottom. Don't ask me why it's down there, but it's clear and it's a pain in the butt to work with, but I use it for everything. Of course you'll need scissors, that sort of thing. I also wanted to show you that at Hobby Lobby I get this rather large bag of leather assortment. It's just like scraps, and I use them for my bags a lot. I think this was like $6 or $7. Super cheap. I have found it on their website before, but technically I think it's cheaper to buy it at Hobby Lobby, which is really weird. But if you are interested, this is where you can get it from on that website, www.realleather.com. So for this bag, I haven't quite decided how I'm going to embellish it, which I know sounds really stupid. What I'm really kicking myself over right now is at Hobby Lobby at one time, those bags of leather straps, one had like a mustard color, and oh my gosh, that would look amazing with that. So I'm a little upset with myself that I didn't go ahead and get the mustard assortment, but I have 2 bags of this that I'm still going through, and I felt guilty for buying more. So in this bag, I've got this creamy colored leather strand that I could work with. It's almost white though, so I'm not like super crazy about it. So I probably won't use it. If I was going the direction of colored beads with that, then yes, I would go with that lighter color probably, because it would really stand out. I mean, that would be a super fun bag if I was going to be doing it in that fun of a look. You know, I could see the colored beads and everything, and it would be a lot of fun. If I was going that direction, I would probably go with the lighter leather. Also, what would be really nice, they've got this like camel color here, which is realistically what I'm probably going to go with, because I've been in this boho mood lately. So what I will probably do is go with this color here, and probably, I don't know if I'll go with those or not, but I'll go with some wooden beads that are a little bit lighter, and we'll get started, okay? So I was going to mention real quickly, I'm in the design process right now, and a few things occurred to me to tell you. When you are trying to decide on beads, you really have to pay attention to the holes of the beads. So that's why I recommended this bag from Walmart, from Hobby Lobby, because that goes through easily. And also, in the bag that I've already shown to the group, there is actually four pieces of leather going through that center hole. So just keep in mind that you don't really want to get this thick leather if you don't have beads to compensate in the center, okay? See, that would have looked amazing. Oh, I'm so mad. Also, if you can't find something that would work, Hobby Lobby carries this in their jewelry section near the beads. It is a lot more expensive, so keep that in mind. Like, I got that huge bag of leather for $6 or $7, whereas this is $4 a piece. So I think I may have got them when they were on sale, but just keep in mind that these are a little bit more narrow, and you could realistically probably get that in a smaller hole. Okay, so the difference here is pretty big. So this is the leather bag assortment, and this is the on a cord in the jewelry section. So it would work, but you know, it just depends on which direction you want to go. So it is also a little flimsier, but it still feels pretty good. It's just not quite as sturdy as that. So when you're deciding on what direction to go with your bag, it's really important to pay attention to the thickness of the leather and the size of the hole of your beads. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to designing. Okay, so I think I've decided on the direction that I wanna go. And like I said, I've decided on the caramel looking color for the leather pieces. You'll need 2 of them. And you won't use all of it. I'd say this is probably close to 2.5 to 3 feet of strands. Really, the size that they put in there should be about the same size if you get the same bag. If you're cutting it from that cording, I'd cut it about 2.5 feet to make sure you have enough. And then also I've decided to go with 2 tones, and the reason that I didn't just go with all those, because I wanted to, but then I realized that these holes are not big enough to stick 4 strands of leather through. Remember I told you at the top of the wristlet I put a big bead, and so you're going to want the hole to be rather large for that, because you're going to be shoving 4 pieces of leather back down in there. So I'm going to set all this to the side. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is cut out your fabric if you're going to line your piece. And I bought this from Walmart for $1 a yard. It is reversible, so you could use either side, and it is nylon stretch, which is awesome. Some people are scared to work with it. I was at first because I'm a novice at sewing, but I watched some YouTube tutorials and I was like, oh, I got this. So I recommend doing that. So the thing that I took away the most from watching those videos was when you use jersey knit, you want a specific needle for jersey knit, which I think is ballpoint. It's got a rounded tip because this material's stretchy. And then use the zigzag stitch on your sewing machine. And that's pretty well it. You're only sewing at the sides anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Well, and I sew down the brim, I guess, to make it nice. I do hand stitch this material inside whenever I'm making them like this. When I am not crocheting my bag to the zipper like I show you in another video, then I do it this way. I either don't add a zipper at all and then just sew in the lining, or I add the zipper first and then sew the lining over the top of the lip to hide the lip. So in this case, I'm going to be putting the zipper in first and then sewing the lining over the top to hide the lip. So you are going to want to give yourself a little bit of extra. I'm going to leave myself about 1 inch allowance there because I'm going to lay it down and sew around it so that the top is real nice. So I'm just going to cut here and probably along this stripe here so that it's a little more. Okay. So, I'm not going to do it right this second, but basically what I'm going to do is take the zigzag stitch down both sides. Once it's made into a lining, then I will take the entire top and roll it down about, I don't know, 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and sew all the way around, also with the zigzag stitch. And then when I go to put it in, I will use clear nylon thread, and you won't see all these ends, and you won't see my horrible sewing. So, all right, so the first thing we're gonna do is sew the zipper in. I went ahead and added the lining material to my zipper because I thought it might be easier in the long run. If I don't like it, I'll take it out, but I'm gonna try it. This will be my first try doing it this way. But if you have not seen that tutorial yet, I show you how to add a zipper to your lining of your bag for these little pouches that I make. So basically what I'm gonna do is tuck this down inside the bag. It doesn't really matter at this stage which side the zipper is at, so just stuff it down in there. And you can pin it if you want, but I don't plan to. Basically what I'm gonna do is line up the top of the stitches here with the zipper and then sew in between those stitches using a back stitch and nylon, clear nylon thread. I've already got my needle threaded. You're gonna have to thread it probably several times. You're not gonna wanna deal with this nylon thread for any length of time. So what I'm doing here is going underneath. I'm not going through the material, but I am lining up to the material. So I'm going right up against it and through the top here. And I'm going to go in and out, being sure I don't snag my fabric, because that's kind of important. Just fabric is kind of, I used a jersey knit fabric because the yarn is very stretchy, and so I wanted to make sure that the fabric that I used was really stretchy. This first part is kind of touch and go because this thread is just a pain in the butt. I have a love-hate relationship with it. I like how it doesn't show, but I also hate how it is basically plastic and goes everywhere. It doesn't have a lot of shape or form or weight. So, alright, so if you're not familiar, a back stitch goes forward and then about halfway back and then goes forward past the one that I just went through. So, this is probably going to be a fairly lengthy process. So I may show you a few of them and then stop the video. You know, I might actually pin this down simply because the fabric is wanting to really get in my way. And you don't want the fabric to be too close to the zipper because it'll get caught in the zipper. Yeah, and actually it is a lot easier pinned. So I retract my statement. I will actually pin it down on both sides. So it's going a lot faster this way without me having to manipulate it. So you see I'm going back, just about halfway back, and then about halfway forward from my place of coming out on my, so I'm coming out here, so I'm going to go back about halfway, and when I come out I'm going to go up about halfway. This is called a back stitch. And try not to go through the actual stitches. I'm going through the holes between the stitches, or at least I'm trying to. That's my aim. Let me just take a look at the other side. So I am going through the fabric, but that's okay because number one, it's not showing, and number two, it is holding it down so that when people open and close the zipper, it doesn't show, or it doesn't get stuck. My stitches leave a bit to be desired, which is why I kind of wish that they weren't showing. If I wasn't going through the fabric, they wouldn't be showing, but oh well. So I'm going to open the zipper the rest of the way and pin the rest of it down here. And I'm just lining it up to the zipper, so the teeth there, to keep it straight. Before I actually finish sewing in the lining, I'm just going to sew in half, because I just remembered that I need to add the embellishments before I finish the lining, because I want to hide the embellishments with the lining. So I'm going to finish this side here and then leave the rest undone for right now. And like I said, I'm just going to leave this side open. What I'm going to do, you want to make sure that the end of your zipper that's at the top is where your wristlet goes, because you don't want your bag upside down in case, you know, something happens and gravity takes over and your zipper opens or something. You probably want it on the top. So the zipper's up here, so this is where I'm going to put my handle. So what you're going to do first is take the straps and kind of get them the way you want them, which it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be manipulating these boogers a lot. I'm going to show you how to do some really simple macrame knots, and it's going to look really cute. So basically what I'm doing here is showing you how to make this part. And for this one, we're just going to try to shove all 4 tails. And you see, voila, goes on great. You need that big of a hole for that. And you kind of want to just feel it. How big do you need it? This one, yeah. There are some macrame knots that I did here, and this is the back side of it. I wanted it to look cool. So in order to get this look, it's not easy to show you here, but I'll show you here. I basically separated the 4 strands to where they come out. 2 of them came out in the center, and one of them I wrapped to the side, and then I started tying them. So I'm glad I didn't finish lining because I need inside of this bag. So you're going to find the center and the one right next to it. You may want a crochet hook for this to help you get the pieces through. I'd say about an H should work. A 5mm hook should be about the right size. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 pieces in the center and then bring them out the side here. So I'm going to bring 2 pieces in the dead center here from the middle of this. And now I'm going to bring them out the next side. And I'm not going to tie them or anything just yet. And I'm going to bring this guy. See, I looped this one that way, and I'm going to loop this one this way. Okay. So I've got a mess going on here. All right, and I'm actually going to take them to the back and crisscross them this way. Once you get it the size you want, which is about there for me, got big hands, you're going to want to anchor it more so that it doesn't come out. So we're going to do some macrame knots. So crisscross it in the back and then bring it to this side and this side, okay? It doesn't really matter if they're not the same length. I mean, you can try to get them that way. They should be nearly the same length. And we're going to do what's called a macrame square knot. So basically, we work from outer to inner and then from inner to outer. So take your two strands side by side, and you're going to take this one that is on the right and go under the one that's on the left. Then you're going to take that same tail, go over this one and back through in on itself. And you're going to pull it tight. I mean, not too tight because it's going to start messing with the sides of your, okay? And then we are going to do the exact opposite. We're going to take this one, go under the one on the right, okay? And then we're going to take the same end and go in the loop it just made on itself. And that's one square knot. And I'm going to do that twice. So we started on the outside and worked our way in, so we're going to do it again. So two that are parallel, you're going to take the one that's on the outside and go under the one on the left, okay? Making like an L shape. Then we're going to take that same end and go in the loop that it just made. And we're going to repeat the process, only the opposite. So you got these two that are parallel. Take the one on the left and go under the one on the right to make the box. And then we're going to take this end and go in on itself that way through the knot or the hole it just made. Okay? So that's two square knots made together. Really, it's just, you know, somewhat fancy. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side, working our way from outside to inside so that it'll look the same. So two that are parallel, outer to inner. So the one on the left will go under the one on the right. You're going to take that end, same end, and go through that loop and pull up until it's tight. But you don't want to mess with the length of your strap, so be careful there. Then we're going to do two parallel. We're going to take this and go underneath the one that's on the outside on the left, and then back through the loop we just made and pull tight. And one more time, we're going to repeat that process, outer to inner. Two lines parallel. We're going to go this one under the one on the right. And we're going to take that end and go in the loop. And then this will be the last one, inner to outer this time. So this one under the one on the left, take that same end and go inside the loop there and pull tight. Now, this is not likely to come out, okay? All right, now, if you notice, these things go every which way. In fact, if you're not careful, they'll come undone because there's nothing to weigh them down. So that is the main reason I put beads on these leather straps. So I have got these really cool beads and these ones that match this guy. Now you could, if you wanted to, use the brown and red, but I kind of like those because they tie in the caramely color. So I got these from Hobby Lobby, if you forgot where I said I got them from in the beginning of the tutorial. have a basket handy because I hate trying to keep up with all these beads here. So it's up to you. They're the same size, so you could go red on top and then the really cool one on bottom, or vice versa. Honestly, I'm feeling red on top. So we're gonna do short, I guess. And by short, I don't want it to fall back too much. So, see, this one comes down pretty far so that it doesn't fly over the side. And so I'm probably going to try to have it about right there because I don't want it to flop. So I'm not going to probably be wasting very much of this piece here. Just tie it real tight. It's not going to go anywhere. So I think I want it to stop about right there. So I want the knot here. So you may have to push your beads up a little, and they'll probably be a little bit cut off here. Before I do it real tight, I'm going to see if I like it. Yeah, I like it pretty good. So there's that. These wooden beads are super messy, just so you know. You're probably going to need a lint roller to try to get them all off. All the little wooden pieces from the holes they drilled. So I keep lifting it up to see about where they land. That looks good to me. And like I said, we'll be getting rid of this excess here, unless you just want to keep it. I mean, it don't look bad per se. And honestly, we're almost done with this bag. Like, this is a large portion of it. I might want this one to be a little longer, yeah. So I probably won't waste much of it. Just tie a little knot. Make sure you like where it's at before you make it permanent. All right, now I don't really have a method to my madness. First of all, make sure they're real tight. And as you can see, I just whacked off about, I left about an inch. I did not measure. This one seems a little long. So cute. Oh my gosh, those beads just really make the bag. Okay, so now what you want to do, you still don't want to finish because you don't want to finish lining because we still need to make the wristlet part, or excuse me, the clutch part, where if you're wearing it on your wrist and you want to hold it snug against your hand so that you could open it, you know, you can. So this little part, you will need another piece of leather, preferably in the same color that you are already using. Okay, so technically this is the bottom of my puff stitch bag. This is round one of the puff stitch bag that most of you who are watching this are part of my Facebook group where I've given you the pattern. And if you'd like to have the pattern for free, again, join my Facebook group. It's called Crochet for Days. And you just have to answer like 3 questions, so I make sure that you're not some spammer. And once you get in the group, just go to the group announcements and you'll see the pattern there with the coupon code to get the pattern free. Otherwise, you can visit Ravelry and get it for like, I think $4. So Anyways, obviously they're two completely different size bags. Not the same size here. This is a 7-inch bag, this is a 9-inch bag. So, you want it to still be about yay big, I'd say. But that leaves quite a bit of space. So what I would do, so it doesn't look funny, is just go in about 2 inches on each side at the very most. Maybe even like 1.5 inches from the corner. And put your ends through 2 separate holes, but that are side by side, down into the bag. Keep it one solid piece, and then only tie it on the inside on one side. So I would go in 1.5 inches here and find where that is, which is about right here. And we're going to bring this through, one end through here. So pull it through like that, okay, to where the foundation chain there is in between, and it's coming out of the single crochets, for those of you who are familiar with this pattern. And I'm going to tie a knot. You could even do some square knots if you wanted to, because that sort of brings the leather together like that. So if you wanted to do 2 square knots there, you realistically could. In fact, if you wanted to do square knots all the way across, you could. I don't think I have enough material for that. Otherwise, I would consider it. So basically, what I'm going to do now is go until I measure 1.5 inch in right here, okay? Before I take the ends inside, I'm going to make a knot upon itself. Alright, so once again I'm going to measure because I want it to be the same. Okay, so I'm going to stick the end just a little further down, and right underneath that is where I'm going to put the ends. So go back inside and go on each side of the foundation chain, so like right here and right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my hook through where you want to come, and this is just with this end, and really you could probably just poke it through. You probably don't need to pull it through because the holes are big enough. So I'm just pulling it to that side, and I'm going to the one directly next to it, only on the other side of the foundation chain, because I don't want it to be too close together. So I'm going to poke it through this hole here. And I'm going to go on the inside and pull it. Now, that should be a good size there. If it doesn't feel tight enough, you could always tighten the knot. But just be careful how small you make it, because once you get stuff put inside, it's gonna expand a bit. So just keep that in mind. I was trying to think of a way to kind of anchor it down a little bit better, because I'm gonna tie it on the inside twice and then cut it and then just cover it up. But if you're worried about it coming undone, what you could do is take the monofilament cord and actually go and tie those down right there so that they don't come away from the bag no matter how much is in there. I did that. I actually use monofilament cord a lot. I use the monofilament cord on this bag in particular right here. You cannot see it, but it is holding down every one of these straps. You probably could see it if you looked really closely in the light, but I wanted them to stay put, and I wanted this to be a tighter fit. So you're welcome to use it. Just don't tie it too tight, because it will cut through the leather over time as it dries out. So I'm I'm on the inside of the bag now, and I'm going to tie this together. These are the ends of the strap for the clutch. I'm going to tie it once, but you don't want to tie it too tight, otherwise it'll start bowing up on the outside. And I'm going to tie it again. Now, if you don't care about the pieces of leather hanging out, I mean, you could just tie it on both sides and leave them hanging, but I care. So tie it tight on that second time. If you want to even put your teeth in it, I would. You don't want it to come undone. In fact, if you have some kind of glue that you know works with leather, or if you know how to sew with leather, I would even do that. But I know none of those things. So, all right, and here we are, getting even closer to the end. This is the part where I finish sewing my zipper down, because I am done with the embellishments that I tie to the inside. Okay, so now I'm going to get that nylon cording and finish sewing this down. I'm not going to show you that part because I feel like this is getting kind of lengthy. Okay, so the last thing that we have to do is the zippered tassel. So on this one I did similar color. I mean, they're not exactly the same for the tassel. So because I've got so much black right here, my tassel I think I'm going to do in cream. So you will need your yarn. First thing I do is I get my monofilament cord and I cut off about 6 inches of it. Maybe not quite, but thereabouts. And then I take one end and I slide it through the zipper and I tie 2 knots onto the zipper. Okay, and then I make the ends even, and I'm going to show you some beads. These beads actually I got from the Walmart one, but they match perfect. So even though they're real tiny, I'm going to use them. And see, it doesn't matter with this monofilament cord because it's going to go through it. There it goes. You can do it however you want. I don't have any more of those orange ones that are smaller, so I'm just going to go with these guys. You could do 3 if you wanted to. I'm not thinking I need 3. Okay, and then I use my fingers for the tassel, and I only wrap it about, this is not, you don't want it to be bulky because we got a lot going on here. So I'm only going to do it like 7 times. Then cut it down the middle. Okay, and then you're just going to take your bundle and like put it in half, which this one may be too short. Yeah, I cut one too short, so it's a bundle of 6. So just find the center and then tie it. And then I'm going to cut it not quite to the quick, but nearly, because I'm going to also tie a strand around it here. So what I do is I tie it around the whole tassel once. I don't knot it on this side because this is the side that faces out. And then I flip it over and I tie it again. And that's when I knot it, because you don't want it going anywhere. Okay, and since there's 100 different lengths here, just cut it to where they're all even. Which doesn't really matter because it's not a big deal. I kind of want to straighten them though. This yarn is extremely stretchy, so it's very easy to get off a little bit. And so there we are. We are done. And I might add, of course, I already told you, you're probably going to have to take a lint roller to this to get all the, or tape or whatever, to get all of the wood shavings off. But also, on this particular bag, this bead fits tightly around this. It's not going anywhere, like nowhere. On this bead, it is loose, so realistically it could come flying off if you weren't careful. So if you're not comfortable with that, what you could do is just take the whole thing and tie it. So in a knot. I'm not super worried about it. So I'm probably just gonna leave it like that. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and that I was able to teach you something today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.